So we are here Sunday night with Stacye Manlove. She is one of my quarantining partners out here in Springfield, Missouri. Stacye comes with a very unique background, not unique background, but a very rich background. 15 years cumulatively as a K through 5 elementary school teacher, 8 years as a principal, 2 years as an assistant principal, and is currently serving as a Title I math interventionist. So you've seen education from lots of different angles: the good, the bad, the ugly, different socioeconomic statuses. So this lesson, we're going to be talking about assessment. So whether it's summative assessments that we see in high stake testing with multiple choice questions and number 2 pencils, or more experimental, formative, alternate forms of assessment. So whether that's portfolio assessment, scrapbooking, group projects, interviews, more of a nuanced approach to understanding what is working with students. So the first question I have for you is both a teacher and administrator, and obviously it depends on the state you're in, but from what you can tell, do you believe there is too much emphasis on high stakes testing and grades in K through 5 school system?
I think that, like everything else in education, there's that pendulum that goes back and forth. And so you start at one end where there's a lot of emphasis, and I mean, teacher salaries are going to be based on student test scores and all that business. And then it gradually starts to swing the other way. Right now, I think we are swinging the other way. And I think that's a good thing, because the high stakes assessments, in my opinion, they're a snapshot of what a kiddo chooses to do or maybe is able to do. It depends on that particular day. So that's the risk of those high stake assessments. As far as grades go, my experience is our district tried to move to a system for K through 5 that did not include letter grades. At the current time, we were using letter grades just for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades, and we wanted to switch to a grade card that really had more of the standards listed on it, and information to the parents as far as where their students were progressing along those standards. So that's where our district was headed. We were prepared to do that. We've done all the research. We were ready for it. Superintendent did parent focus groups and found out the parents absolutely did not want that, completely against it. So we did not go that way. So is there an emphasis too much on some of those grades in that K through 5? Really, since my district just did 3 through 5, I would still say yes, there is an emphasis on those grades. And what do those grades mean? Variable. So.
Great answer. The second question is, as a principal, if a young teacher coming out of graduate school was going to be experimenting with more progressive types of assessment in their classroom, and they came to you with, feedback and whatnot, were you typically embracing outside of kind of experimental teaching, or were you typically skeptical of how it would go in the classroom?
No, I absolutely tend to embrace it more. Typically, when a teacher would come to talk to me about something along those lines, that teacher's already done some research and is prepared for those discussions. I am absolutely for the student first and the teacher second, a close second. And I am so excited when I hear a teacher who is willing to try something new, do something new, who has done some research, has a plan for it, because that's the only way we can really hit some of those kids. We have to think outside the box. We can't do the same thing we've done for the last 10 years or even the year before. So I am absolutely, completely, 100% behind teachers who are willing to take a risk.
Very cool. When it comes to equity and how different populations socioeconomically are going to do with high stakes testing as opposed to alternate forms of assessment, do you believe there are certain populations who would be better served with the embrace of institutional change in assessments to more nuanced, authentic types of assessments?
Absolutely.
Who do you think would be most benefited?
Well, the first one, the obvious one that comes to mind is your special ed population, but also you have your ELL population. And then you might have some other, I know that's a tough thing to say, but maybe some of the lower socioeconomic kiddos who don't have all the experiences that other kids maybe have.
Sure.
So why not give them some different opportunities to show what they know? Um, our whole system, our whole country, we profess that we value individualism and people being creative and thinking outside the box. So if we really profess that, then why aren't we allowing that in our classrooms? It doesn't make any sense to me if we don't allow that.
Good question. And our last question is going to be, rather than endorsing one model over the other, do you believe it's about balancing the forms of assessment to truly engage or to truly gauge how students are doing in the learning process?
Mm-hmm. Balancing the assessments. So you're talking about
having some role for pen and paper exams, unit exams, traditional multiple choice.
I fully endorse that because I think when you mix up your assessments that way, it causes, first of all, it just does a lot of things. It drives, when you backwards plan, you're looking at your standards, you're looking at what am I assessing, how am I going to assess it, now how am I going to teach all of that. So if you're already thinking, I'm going to do some out of the box assessments, you're going to be thinking about how am I going to change my instruction to meet that. So again, it goes back to that, having a variety of instructional techniques that you can use to meet all of those different kids that you have in your classroom. These are not widgets.
Got it.
And you have to make sure that you are not trying to teach to widgets, because that is not going to work.
Right. And I forgot to ask, so if a teacher is going to embrace alternate forms of assessment, do they need firm metrics or rubrics on exactly how they're going to be doing grading at that point?
They absolutely should. They should have that in plan. They absolutely have to have a very clear picture of what they expect to see. They also need to have in their mind, what are some pitfalls that might come along, so that they can help their kiddos as they're trying to achieve those standards that they've set forth. And then the students need to know exactly what those standards are. It also doesn't help to make sure the parents know. So oftentimes, myself as a teacher, I would explain the rubric. First of all, I would develop the rubric with the team, my grade level team, because, more heads together, you're going to come up with a better idea. So as a team, we would figure this out. Then we would present it to our students, and we would also send it home to our parents. So parents who are involved and might have questions, that's a great opportunity to have those conversations.
Well, thank you so much. I love the breadth and of experiences and just feedback from a real administrator and a real teacher and a parent as well. So thank you, and
Thank you.
Happy quarantining to you.
Thank you. Happy teaching.